Okay, good evening, everyone.
Evening, sir.
Okay, let's let us begin now. So again, good evening. Thank you for coming for this session. I hope you are all doing fine and remain healthy and is in good condition. I read the news. I heard that this morning Typhoon Molave makes landfall in central Vietnam. So if I remember correctly, half half a million people are evacuating. So I hope that you are all and your family all stay safe and healthy. And and wait a minute. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I hope you and your family all are healthy and safe and in good condition. And today we will discuss about digital platform which emerge as consequences of digital innovation. So let me pull up my screen. Okay, can you see my slides? Okay, good. Okay, before we begin, probably do you have any questions or concern regarding our previous session? No? So far so good? Raise your hands. Okay, previously we learned about the fundamental aspect of digital innovation, and I gave you a question to think about whether digital innovation is about digitization, commodification, and surveillance. Can I ask one student or one volunteer from each country, from each university to share your opinion about this? Anyone who's gonna start first? Tell us your opinion. This is not a right or wrong question, so feel free. One volunteer, one student from each university or each country. Who's gonna do first? Let's begin from Indonesia. From UGM, who's gonna volunteer? Share your opinion about this question. Come on. Come on, guys. This is supposed to be very easy questions. This is not a right or wrong question, so just just tell us your opinion. Tell us what you think about this question, because I want to know how far you can understand the concept, the topic that we discussed before. Come on, who's gonna do first? Anyone?
Okay,
Hello?
let me volunteer probably.
Please.
So as you mentioned during the previous class, digital innovation is all about creating of marketing offers and models that result from the use of digital technology. And I believe that digital innovation could be about digitalization, commodification, and surveillance, because first, every innovation one day will become a commodity. Everything will be commoditized one day. So it is not only about improving your life, it is about becoming a part of your life. As you said, it's going to be like assimilated and adapted. Like people will adapt it and it will be assimilated into nowadays society. However, as regards surveillance, I could say that yeah, it's partially about that. I mean, like the more digital innovations we have, the more our lives are controlled by them. I mean, like, for example, marketers could track what we prefer and what we would like to order. However, I could say that in this scenario, the governments should maybe set a separate set of laws that restrict like the total control of people through all the digital like technology and stuff that is invented. So I believe that it will become a part of our life. However, it should not change our life to that extent that we are kind of like totally dependent on it.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Any other comments? Sorry, you are from Wusong, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm from Korea, but I'm Russian.
It's all right. Okay. Other comments, please? Anyone from Indonesia or from
Professor?
Vietnam or from, please, Alexander.
Yeah, so I'd like to state my opinion on the statement. So is digital innovation at the end of the day about digitization, commodification, and surveillance? So in my opinion, I partially agree with the statement, in which I agree that digital innovation in the future might be about digitization, where in the previous session, you mentioned that in the future, innovation might not be like in the past, where digital innovation might not be well bounded, where there is always rooms for improvement. There's also a distributed type of innovation where it is more of network centric between companies to companies. So I think that yeah, digital innovation might be about digitization, and uh, as for commodification, I agree that innovation is something that, if accepted by the society, will be applied for a long time. So it's not something that is only used for short term. And if innovation really is relevant to the society, it might as well be used globally. For example, we now have so many social media platforms that are used worldwide. However, for surveillance, I'm quite not sure whether digital innovation is about surveillance, because as human beings, we're still trying to find the balance on how innovations could still respect the privacy of people, even though in digital innovations we know that data plays a big role in order to create a better welfare for people.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're not sure about the surveillance. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments from Malaysia or from Vietnam? Come on, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to tell us your opinion. This is not a right or wrong question.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm from Indonesia, but can I add a comment, a bit of comment?
Yeah, briefly, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I agree with all of them before the comments before, but I would like to add that in my opinion and in my perspective is that probably digital innovation doesn't end in digitization, commodification, and surveillance, because as we see that the computer, perhaps, for example, in the 90s, people always presume that the computers is only for processing businesses and probably numbers, but in the end, we all use our smartphones, which is a computer as well, but it has become a part of our lifestyle. And I think that artificial intelligence is began emerging in our lifestyle through digitization, such as we can see from the suggestions in Instagram or YouTube, perhaps, and is our even our um, food delivery system is actually using artificial intelligence, and it is starting to emerge to our lifestyle and through our daily life. And for the surveillance, I think it's pretty debatable, but I think it is important to for a country perhaps, or a state, to use artificial intelligence to surveil their people, because regarding the privacy, it is important to have a preventive action for any problems or whatsoever, to do a preventive action instead of curative action. And it is important because as we can see, but although it is a privacy of certain individuals and of course societies, actually artificial intelligence is actually um, I don't know, seeing the through the system, not through the individuals as we persons. So I think privacy might not be the problem. And and that's only my perspective. Thank you for it.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Any other comments from Vietnam or from Malaysia, please? Anyone? Come on, don't be shy. This is not a right or wrong question. Don't be afraid to tell your opinion. Anyone? I'm still waiting.
Hello, I'm from Vietnam, and I agree with most of what other students have said about their thought on this question. Maybe what I just want to add into this question is that digital innovation, as we have to we will use it for is our choice, so we can totally or commodification. At the end of the day, the digital innovation is more about adding more value and like more convenience to people's life than and whatever it is. That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any volunteer from Malaysia, from UKM, please? Anyone from UKM, from Malaysia? Tell us your opinion.
Can you hear me, Doctor?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm Nazif from Malaysia. So my humble opinion is about the digitization, commodification, and surveillance. I agree with that. The first two components, digitization and commodification, I agree with that because like most of our lives has been around digital economy, the gig economy. These sort of stuff have been dominating our daily lives. And I couldn't agree more that they have become very beneficial. But regarding surveillance, it's becoming quite a concern actually, because it involves privacy. And I've read some of the articles, like especially the controversy regarding Facebook and how they are being accused at the US federal courts regarding the privacy and also the data rights. Yeah, so that is quite a concern and will always be a major human rights violation if they are continuing to exploit the consumers' data just like that. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. So you are agree with digitization and commodification, but not so much with surveillance. Thank you. Very good answer, but let me show you. Let me show you this figure. Clario is a kind of research agency. So they made a kind of survey on how digital platform gather data from their user, from their customers. So it can be anything like your name, your email address, your age, your gender, your marital status, your religious belief, your location, your home address, your occupation, your mobile number, your hobbies, your interests, your weight, your height, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, on the top of the list is Facebook, which collected more than 70% of your personal data, and then followed by Instagram, which is about 58%, and then followed by other applications like Tinder, Grindr, Uber, Strava, Tesco, Spotify. I'm sure most of you are using Spotify, and then Netflix, obviously, and then Nike, ASOS, followed by Ryanair, Ocado, Airbnb. Some of you probably are using Airbnb, and then Amazon, PayPal, eBay, which roughly about 23%, and then followed by Deliveroo, Twitter, which is about 20%, and then followed by Google Maps. I'm sure almost all of you are using this application, which collect about 20%, and then followed by other applications like Just Eat, McDonald's, TikTok. I'm sure most of you are using this kind of application, and then followed by other apps like WhatsApp. Surprisingly, WhatsApp only collects about 11% of your personal data. But please do not forget that WhatsApp is actually owned by Facebook, that also owns Instagram. So if you combine those three all together, it means like 70% plus 59% plus 12%. So it's about 141% of your personal data collected by Facebook itself. So it implies that those digital platforms are probably knows you better than your family, than your friends, than your boyfriend or girlfriend, because they collected much more data from you. So they gathered everything from you, and somehow they can assemble the information. They know the overall picture of you, so they can give you a kind of individualized or customized service. And is this good or is this bad? It really depends, okay? So let's say you are an AI developer or you are a startup founder. Obviously, you want to develop a good product or a good service so that more users, more customers are using your service. And by doing so, you will gather lots of data from your customers, their profile, their transactions, their habits, their preferences, and things like that. And along the way, the information, the personal information that you collected from your customers or from your user is increasing because you are gathering more and more data from your customer. And then eventually you can charge more. You can charge higher premium for your user. You can also start to make your company much more profitable because you charge higher price, right? And then after that, your investors are obviously very happy. You can attract much more funding opportunities, like from your, for example, from angel investors, from venture capital, from private equity, or even better, you can take your company to the stock market. You can go to IPO. And then after that, you will earn lots of money from your IPO or from your investors. And then you can use all of those money to develop better services. You can add more features, you can add more products or services to your customers, and eventually you will attract much more customers or users. And the cycles will go like that, on and on and on and on from time to time. From the perspective of the company, this is something that is expected, because if you can gather more data, you can have better algorithm. You can develop better AI. you can develop better machine learning because you have more samples data to analyze. You can have much more sample to train your AI, to train your machine learning to predict something or to develop better service and so on and so forth. But from the perspective of the user or customers, this can be debatable, okay? Because if those companies are gathering or collecting much more information, personal information from the customer, it means that the risk of privacy invasion, the risk of data breach and things like that are increasing. And sadly, in developing countries, for example, in Indonesia, customers or users tend to ignore. They are not particularly educated on taking care of these privacy issues seriously. So from the perspective of the company, this is something that is expected, because if you can gather more data, you can develop better service, you can develop a better AI, you can develop better programming or algorithm or things like that. But from the perspective of user or customers, this is something that we have to think very carefully. Okay, and this kind of cycle, is as I said, this is a kind of something that is expected by the companies. So that's why the company will grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So those cycles will create a kind of natural monopoly in the industry. That's why when we are talking about search engine, we will always come up with Google. When we are talking about social network, for example, we will always come up with Facebook. When we are talking about e-commerce or marketplace, we will always refer to Amazon. So those kind of cycle will create a kind of monopolistic power in the industry. Is this good or is this bad? It really depends from the perspective of the companies or from the perspective of the user or from the perspective of wider society or from the government, for example. Okay, I cannot give you a kind of clear answer for this, but this is something that we have to be very careful, especially in developing those kind of services when it comes to personal data, personal information, and privacy issues. Okay, any questions or comments? Quick question, quick comments. No? So far so good? Okay, now let's move on to the topic for this session. As I said before, we will be discussing about a digital platform. First, I will give you a kind of introduction. I will give you a kind of information regarding the magnitude of a digital platform. And then after that, we will move on to the industrial constellation. So the move from conglomerates, from vertically integrated industries toward multi-sided platform. This is the core of our topic for this session. And then after that, I will show you the way in which there is a kind of shift towards business ecosystems or business platform, especially in Asia. And then after that, we will talk about the definition, the types, and the taxonomies of digital platform. And then followed by disruptive innovation and network externalities, because these two factors are the kind of underlying factors of the emergence of digital platform. And then after that, we will be discussing the digital platform challenges. And if we still have plenty of time left, I can share my research on digital platform and open banking. But if not, then we can jump into the conclusion and takeaways for this session. Okay. Now, okay, now let's move on to the, sorry. let's move on to the economics of digital platforms. So this is the data of the largest companies in 2008 on the right-hand side versus in 2018 on the left-hand side. Okay. As you can see, in 2008, the largest companies in the world, global largest companies in the world, are mostly coming from oil and gas industries, from mining industries, from telecommunication sector, also from banking and finance, and then also from consumer electrics like GE. But in 2018, it completely changed because, as you can see, from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, all of those are technological company that are using a kind of digital platform strategies. So Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tencent, and Alibaba, all of them are using a kind of multi-sided platform strategies. And they became the largest global companies in 2018. So very quickly for them to move from small startup company to become a large global companies in the world. Okay, now I'll show you more data about the magnitude of a digital platform, why we cannot ignore digital platform, why we have to really take into account the digital platform business. Let's compare, for example, BMW compared to Uber. They are not exactly in the same industries, but both of them are giving a kind of transportation services. So BMW was established in 1916. They employ about 131,000 employees with 51 market cap. Compare that to Uber, which was established in 2009 with only 16,000 employees and market cap 76 billion US dollars, much higher compared to BMW. And then let's compare, for example, Marriott and Airbnb. Marriott was established in 1927, employs 177,000 employees with market cap of 39 billion US dollar. Compare that to Airbnb, which was established in 2008 and employs only 10,000 employees. So the interesting thing about Marriott and Airbnb is that it takes about, if I remember correctly, it takes about 40 years for Marriott to sell 1 million rooms. But it takes only about 7 or 8 years for Airbnb to sell 1 million rooms. 40 years compared to 7, 8 years. Okay. And then Walt Disney was established in 1923 with almost 200,000 employees with market cap of 163 billion US dollar. Compare that to Facebook, which was established in 2004, only with 30,000 employees, but with market cap of 473 billion. So 2 times, 3 times larger than Walt Disney. And then the same things also with IBM, which was established in 1911 with 350,000 employees with market cap of 125 billion. Compare that to Salesforce, which also using a kind of digital platform strategies, employs 35,000 employees only, but with market cap almost as the same as IBM. Now, compare that with, for example, New York Times and Twitter. Again, they are not exactly in the same industries, but all of them are giving a kind of news and information and updates and things like that. New York Times was established in 1851, employs 3,700 employees with market cap of only 6 billion. Compare that to Twitter, which was established in 2006 with employees of 3,300 and market cap of 25 billion, so 4 times bigger than New York Times. So this is quite interesting, especially if we take a look at the magnitude of the digital platform, because with smaller employees, smaller number of employees, they can somehow they can capitalize their power of technology, of digital platform and things like that to get a higher amount of market capitalization. And then compare that to, for example, in Indonesia, we have Bluebird, a taxi company which goes public, which went public, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. The company was established in 1972 with employee of 3,600. Market cap is only 0.1 billion. Compare that to Gojek, which was established in 2009 with employee of 3,000, but market cap is almost 10 billion US dollars. So again, I just wanted to give you a kind of idea of how digital platform can be very, very huge, can be very, very successful in very short time compared to those companies that are operating in traditional industries or in traditional sectors. Now, any comments on this?
May I ask what is the ratio stand for?
Sorry, say it again.
What is the ratio stand for in the table?
It represents the how much they can generate earning, or how much they can generate revenue based on the fixed asset that they have at that time, compared to those companies that are operating in traditional sectors.
Thank you, I understand.
Okay. Now, this was taken from the paper that I gave you, written by Margarita Pagani in 2013. The paper mainly talks about the industrial constellation. So she used an example in the media and broadcasting industries, but the trend is also happening in other industries as well. So firstly, usually we begin with a close and vertically integrated model. So this one, number A. Usually companies or industries are beginning with a close and vertically integrated model. So this is a kind of big conglomerates companies. They are having everything by themselves or by their own group, because they want to have a kind of economies of scale and economies of scope. So that's why they build a kind of vertical integration and horizontal integration. But along the way, some of those companies are beginning to open up for collaboration, for partnership. So the structure moved from closely vertically integrated model towards loosely coupled coalition model. So they began to open up their business. They began to open up their group, conglomerates group, for partnership, for collaboration from outside knowledge and things like that, because they want to capture value from that network. But then we are moving toward multi-sided platform. This is something that is relatively new. It represents a new kind of market structure, and it comes as a consequences of disruptive innovation. I'm going to talk about disruptive innovation later on, but this is the result of the disruptive innovation that creates a kind of emergence in service development and product development. Okay. even though the paper studied the media and broadcasting industries, this kind of movement or this kind of changes from close vertically integrated model to loosely coupled coalition model to multi-sided platform business is also happening in other industries, in other sector as well. This is another findings from Bain and Company research report, and this is particularly relevant with what I just talked before. Previously, companies are beginning to establish themselves as a centralized group, usually run by rich families. They establish their kind of conglomerates and things like that. Usually they have a kind of close connection to the government and things like that. It began, for example, in most countries in Asia, it begins in 1950s to 1980s. So after the World War, after we gain our independence, we begin to establish our kind of state-owned companies and so on and so forth. So those kind of companies are becoming the operator. They run everything from A to Z. And then in 1990s, because of the rise of globalization, we enter the liberalization market. So the pressure towards competition is increasing, and we need a new kind of competition in the market. So that's why government in 1990s were beginning to open up the market for foreign competition. So in this case, the structure of the industry is becoming more loosely coupled. So they have to open up their company, they have to open up their conglomerates to get a kind of outside knowledge, to get a kind of new partnership or new collaboration with sources from other companies to make them remain competitive in the market. And then after that, we move to the emerging trend in 2010s. So because of the technology, because of the internet and things like that, we are moving toward a kind of multi-sided platform. So it goes like this. We begin with central planning. The structure of the industry is close, vertically integrated, usually runs by conglomerates, by rich family, and they have everything from A to Z because they establish a kind of horizontal integration and vertical integration to get the economies of scope and economies of scale. But then in 1990s, we enter the liberalization era because of the increasing pressure of competition as a result of globalization, foreign trade and investment and things like that. Those companies were beginning to open up themselves because they need to acquire new knowledge, they need to acquire new resources from the outside of the company. They begin to establish a network, they begin to establish a kind of collaboration and partnership with network outside of the company. And then in 2010s, because of the advancement of technology, we are moving toward multi-sided platform. And this trend is happening not only in the US or in Europe, but this also happens in Asia, in Southeast Asia. Let me show you the data of the top 10 richest families in Asia. This was taken from Bloomberg Queen in 2019. As you can see, they are dominating the industry. They are dominating the sectors, and usually they have a kind of close connection with the government. Those kind of conglomerates, as I said before, they usually have everything from A to Z because they establish their kind of horizontal integration and vertical integration to get an economies of scope and economies of scale. But then, as I said, old money conglomerates are still dominating the economy in Asia. But then we see another trend as a result of digital innovation, which is the emergence of digital platform. So in Southeast Asia, for example, especially in Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, and so on and so forth, startup technology platforms are slowly catching up. And the valuation is quite amazing because some of those companies are being valued of 1 billion US dollar or more. This is still far compared to those rich families that are, for example, they are being valued at 20 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion, even more. But the trend the trend shows that startup technology platforms are slowly catching up. So this is just about the time. Slowly, those kind of companies will be moving upward, and their valuation will eventually surpass those rich families that I showed before. So again, thanks to digital platform that makes this happen relatively very quick in very short span of time and without too much time to spend to develop the product, to develop the services, to gather new users or customers and things like that. Everything seems to be very easy, or everything seems to be very it's a kind of piece of cake for them. So I'm sure this kind of trend will happen also in Asia or in Southeast Asia, where previously the largest companies were dominated by conglomerates or by state-owned companies, but slowly we will see that digital platform, digital technology startup will be moving upward the ranks. So this is the trend is there. It's just about the time until we find some companies who are moving towards this rank in Asia. So again, this is not only happen in the US or in the Europe, but I'm sure this is going to happen in Asia, and it means that there will be lots of opportunity for you to work in this particular area. Now, any questions or comments? No questions? So far, so good? Okay, now, wait a minute. Now, please open up your, you can use your mobile phone, you can use your laptop, you can use your computer, anything. Please go to menti.com and then use the following code, 34, 14, and 600. And then answer the question there. Open up your mobile phone, or you can use your laptop, you can use your computer, and then go to menti.com and use the following code, 34, 14, 600, and answer the question. You can answer the question more than one, you can answer the question 3 times, 4 times, anything. And this is anonymous, so please feel free to answer anything as you want. Okay?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Can we include social digital like media platforms?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
So what digital platforms you are currently using? Facebook, Google, Instagram, Line, Shopee, LinkedIn, Twitter, KakaoTalk, Gojek, Kupang, Rakuten, Naver, Teams. I assume Google Teams, right? And Google Drive, Telegram, YouTube, Twitter. Anything else? Gmarket. Interesting. Tiki. Facebook Messengers. Zalora, Microsoft. Anything else? It can be anything. It can be global platforms. It can be local platforms that's specific to your country or your city, for example, or your region. It can be marketplace. It can be sharing economy platform. It can be social networking apps, anything. I want to know more from you. Tinder, oh, Zalo, Vipeji, Strava, TikTok, Netflix, Grab, Microsoft Teams, Outlook. Okay. Okay, thank you. Now let's go to the next question. Again, go to menti.com and use the code 3414600 and answer the questions there. This is an open-ended question, so there is no right or wrong questions. Why do you use that digital platforms? Tell us, why do you use the platform? Is it because of your families, or is it because of the features, or do you need it for entertainment or games, or does it have to do with your hobbies or passion and things like that? You can answer this question more than one. Useful to communicate with friends, free because I find something more cheaper, for entertainment, to communicate with friends, entertainment for sure, catching up with news, entertainment purpose. For communication and academic purpose, everyone use them because everyone use them. Good. To entertain myself after exams, to fill in leisure time, for dating, obviously Tinder is for dating, convenient, transportation, ease of reach, informative, entertainment, education, for refreshing after stressful university week, to call my girlfriend. Anything else? For selling items, for news update, because it's convenient, because of the content, usability, features, good communication tools, for business purpose, for comfortable, to catch up with new trends. Interesting. Because it has good interface, because you learn new things. For meetings, to become an influencer. Good. Easy to use. to meet new people. I assume this is for Facebook because I can text my boyfriend. Good. To kill time, okay. So some of you feel that the university week is very stressful, but some of you says that you need to kill time. Good, interesting. Okay, now let's come back to the slide. Thank you for your response. I will come back to that. But let's move on to the digital platforms. Okay, as I said in our last meeting, digital platform is a kind of building block. It gives you an essential tools. It gives you an essential function that acts as a foundation for other firms to develop complementary products, complementary technologies, or complementary services. This is something that is not totally new, because if you see a traditional market, if you see a food court, if you see shopping malls or department store, those kind of things are basically a platform. But with digital technology, then theoretically, the spread and the reach can be unlimited. So anyone, anywhere can join the digital platform. This is not like traditional market. This is not like a traditional food court or shopping malls, because those who can go to that platform is only people who are living probably 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers from that place. But with digital platform, anyone theoretically can join the platform itself. And then there is a tendency that companies are now innovating by creating platforms rather than developing their own products. Because by creating a platform, you can gather many different sources from outside of your company. So you can involve many different actors to help you design your new products or your new services. And it helps you to build your capabilities. But again, it comes with a price, because you have to be able to organize different actors, different companies that are having different motive, different interests, and different purpose. And the implication is quite straightforward, because, for example, you want to balance your generativity and your control. In the case of Apple iOS, they want to attract more users. They want to attract more developers to create or to develop new apps or new games for Apple. But on the other hand, you can the company also want to have a kind of control, so that not every application or not every games can goes to the Play Store. They want to have a kind of censor or blocking mechanism, so that the application that are not relevant, application that are not useful, are not coming to the Apple stores. So you want to balance those kind of generativity of the user versus the control over the platform. If you have too much or too tight control, then users will leave, or users will jailbreak the phone or break the phone. So that because they want to have a greater control. But if you have very loose control, then anything can enter the platform. So this is something that you don't want as well. And the second implication is that obviously there will be more data sharing, more process sharing across different organizations. It implies that we have to consider issues like privacy and then data ownership, who owns the data, who are responsible if there is something happen, and things like that. And the third implication is that innovation activities becoming increasingly horizontal. So they develop similar application for different market or different purpose. Gojek, for example, they are operating, they begin their operation in Indonesia, but then begins to open up similar application in other countries like in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Malaysia, and so on and so forth. So innovation in 1990s tend to be vertical and horizontal because they want to establish a kind of group, a kind of conglomerate that holds everything from A to Z. But nowadays, innovation are becoming horizontal. So similar application, but for different purpose, for different device, or for different market. And if we are not taking care of this very carefully, it can create chaos in the market, in the society, and so on and so forth. Now, please take a look at this picture. The picture on the left-hand side is the Business Week magazine cover in 1996. The picture on the right-hand side is the same magazine, Business Week, in 2019. So it represents the way in which Apple moving from failure companies towards Apple that we know at this moment with market capitalization, with very huge, enormous market capitalization. But you might not know the story, but if we come back to 1984, so most of you are probably born in late 1990s, I suppose, or early 2000s. So maybe you are not familiar with this story, but let me tell you briefly. Back in 1984, IBM and Apple is in a competition. So Apple is a strong competitors for Apple. They manufacture personal computers for businesses, for families, for small business, for households, and things like that. And the interesting thing is that Apple, on one side, Apple tend to be very close. So Apple develop everything by themselves. They develop the hardware, they develop the software by themselves, and they keep everything in their control. So it is very close back then in 1984. Compared to IBM, IBM was adopting a kind of platform approach. So they open up the standard, they open up their product architecture, and they share it to everyone. So Microsoft, Dell, Adobe, and other manufacturers, other players in the computer industries are free to produce everything as long as it is in line with IBM product architecture. So IBM is basically just saying, this is our platform, this is our product architecture, please develop your product, please join our platform, please join our product architecture. So after that, Apple was collapsed, and IBM, on the other hand, is rising, and it becomes the standard for personal computers in the world at that time. So everyone is using, almost everyone was using IBM back then in 1980s, 1990s to early 2000s. And if they invest 1 million, for example, if they invest $1 million in 1980s, IBM will get the money back in 2 months. But Apple will get the money back in 5 years because they structured themselves very close. It makes them quite difficult to innovate, to catch up with the changes in the market, changes in the customers' trends and preferences and things like that. So as a result, you may know the movie, you may read the biography, but but Steve Jobs was got fired in 1985 after failed to compete with IBM. But then after that, interestingly, Steve Jobs seems to learn, having learned from his failure. So he come back with different product architecture. So he opened up their product architecture. He became he developed Apple as a open platform companies. So they no longer develop everything by themselves in their control, but they began to open up everything for other manufacturers, for other companies to join to their product platform. But the key things here is that what happened in 2001. In 2001, they launched iPod and iTunes, and it revolutionized everything, especially revolutionized the music industries and entertainment industries. So as you can see, people are no longer buying music from vinyl, from cassette or from CDs, but since the launch of iPod in 2001, people are slowly buying music through MP3s and streaming. Even though this data was based on United States market, the trend is also happening in Asia and in other part of the world as well. So the question is, how does it happen? Interestingly, at that time, no one understand the technology, and companies at that time used to be developed in such a monolithic way. So they develop everything by themselves. They tend to be very close. They have their own R&D team and so on and so forth. And each companies has its own ego. So they develop their own apps. For example, if you like, for example, if you like the Beatles, or if you like Queen, or if you like Coldplay, you have to go to EMI. If you like Madonna, or if you like Metallica, or if you like Linkin Park, for example, you have to go to Warner Music. And if you like, for example, if you like Michael Jackson, if you like Whitney Houston, or if you like Mariah Carey, then you have to go to Sony Music. And if you like Taylor Swift, if you like Rihanna, or if you like Lady Gaga, you have to go to Universal Music. So these kind of things are too complicated for customers. Because sometimes, let's say, I like Queen, but I also like Madonna. So I have to go to EMI, but I also have to go to Warner Music. I have to install 2 different applications. I have to sign up to 2 different companies and things like that. And it makes me confused. At the same time, the media and entertainment industries has also working together to combat MP3, illegal MP3 and illegal peer-to-peer sharing, especially Napster at that time. So they kind of develop new technology, they kind of develop a protection system, so that if you buy from EMI or if you buy something from Sony Music, you cannot share it to anyone else. But then Apple sees this opportunity. Apple took a step ahead to establish its digital platform, which is iPod and iTunes. So Apple basically comes to EMI, comes to Warner Music, comes to Sony Music, comes to Universal. Hey guys, please stop doing that. Let me take care of everything for you. Let me take care of the payment. Let me take care of the security management. Let me take care of the privacy. You just stay there, develop your music, develop your artists, but let me handle the technology. Let me handle everything. So now we know that we buy music and movies from iTunes, from Google Play, from Amazon. We no longer buy music from Sony, from EMI, from Universal, and so on and so forth. So the product itself not only changed the revenue the revenue stream for Apple itself, but it also changed the industries. It changed the way we access, we buy music, we buy movies, or we access the entertainment. And now we know Apple no longer as a computer manufacturer, but as a digital platform business. Okay. Any question? Anything? No? If you have any question, anything, if you think I'm talking too fast, or if you find something that is difficult for you to grasp into, then please raise your hand or write something on the chat box. Okay, don't be shy, don't be hesitate to do that. Now, so what is digital platform? Basically, we have two different definitions, the technical definition and non-technical definition. The technical definition is mostly about how digital platform can be used as a foundation for other products to be developed based on our platform. And then it relates to something like technology, it relates to something like interface, like extended applications, core functionality, and things like that. But on the other hand, we can also define digital platform as a non-technical definition. So we talk about a different network of suppliers, different networks of intermediaries, network of customers. We talk about a two-sided market. We talk about multi-sided market. We talk about transaction costs. We talk about search costs, distribution costs, and so on and so forth. So those two different things, but basically we can divide it into a technical definition of digital platform, which relates to technology, which relates to software, core functionality, architecture, and things like that. Or we can define it as a non-technical definition. So we mainly talk about the two-sided market, transaction costs, and then multi-sided platform, network of suppliers, and so on and so forth. Any definition is okay, but the thing that we have to remember is how many sites that we are having in this platform. So for example, in figure number 1, this is just one-sided platform. So this is the platform and this is the user. And there are no network effect in this case. On the example number 2, we have a platform, we have different users. This kind of platform remains single-sided, but there is some possibility that network effect may happen. For example, when we are using WhatsApp, the more people coming to the system, the more people are using WhatsApp, then the value of WhatsApp is also increasing. And then the example number 3 is that we have two different sides. So we have users on the upper side, but we also have users on the lower side. And it can create a network effect, for example, in Amazon or in YouTube. We can also use an example number 4. We can have two-sided platform. On the upper side here, we have several users with network effect. And then on the down here, we also have several users with different kind of side of the platform. And it can create a kind of network effect, for example, Facebook. We can divide platform into two different things. So the first one is transaction platform, and the second one is innovation platform. Transaction platform is essentially platform on business, based on transaction, based on a connection between the member or the user of that platform. But on the other hand, on the right-hand side, you will see an innovation platform, which are basically a technology platform, which are basically a kind of platform that allows other developer or other technology manufacturer to add features or add services on that platform. So for example, we know like Apple iOS, Google Android, Sony PlayStation, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Service, and so on and so forth. And the thing that we have to remember is that multi-sided platform is very different compared to traditional business. In traditional business, for example, if you buy something, if you buy shoes from Nike, for example, Nike probably can function the company as a product platform. They can gather many different materials from different sources, but then they will go to the reseller and then deliver the final product for you. On the other hand, we can also compare, for example, if you buy bicycle. If you buy a bicycle, you can go to OEM manufacturer like Giant, the largest bicycle manufacturer in the world. You can put your own label, you can put your own brand over there, and then you can sell it to your end customers. So the way they were doing business is very linear and one way. But with multi-sided platform, we are dealing with two different sides at the same time. So the platform can go to the side A, but it can also go to side B at the same time. They can make money or they can make any transaction from side A or transaction with side B or with both sides. And it can also have, for example, side C, side E, side D, and so on and so forth. Okay, so at the same time, multi-sided platform can do different transaction at any time. It can be, compared to traditional business is only one way, but with multi-sided platform, we can do transaction both ways. So how can we categorize digital platform? We can categorize based on their key activities. Some of them are generating data, some of them are acquiring data, some of them are processing data, some of them are doing analytics, visualization, aggregation, or distribution. You can also categorize based on data sources. Some of them are probably using internal data, some of them are probably using external data, or combination of both. And then you can analyze their revenue model. So for example, some platforms are using advertising fee, for example, as their main revenue model. But some other platforms are probably selling something for you, or leasing something, or renting something from you. Or like Netflix, they employ a kind of subscription fee, so you have to pay every month or every year and things like that. And you can categorize digital platform based on their offering, their data or their information, their knowledge, or their product or their services. And digital platform can also be categorized according to their target customers. They can be business to business, they can be business to customers, they can be customers to customers. But this is a very simplified version of a digital platform. In reality, we can find many different activities, many different revenue models, many different service or product offerings and things like that. Now, to make things easier for you, as I said before, let's focus on two main different things. The first one is transaction or sectoral platform, or what we call business platform. And secondly, we can focus on innovation or infrastructure platform or technological platform like Apple iOS, SAP, Amazon Web Service, and so on and so forth. There is also integration in institutional platform or polity platform, for example, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and things like that. But we will probably not gonna talk about this because A, they are not very popular and not being used widely. B, they are not very, they tend to be very close. They tend to be used for internal purpose only. And C, they tend to be a business to business. So the example for this are probably not very familiar for you. So let's just focus on business platform and technological platform. An example of transaction platform or business platform is what I mentioned before, WhatsApp, Skype, Airbnb, Uber, and so on and so forth. While an example of technological platform is like Apple iOS, Linux, Android, Amazon Web Service, and so on and so forth. Now, as for the business platform, we can divide business platform into three large categories that are reseller or distributor, marketplace, and social network. And for the technological platform, we can categorize them as platform of platforms. So the business platforms can be categorized as reseller or distributor, like Netflix, or marketplace like eBay, or social network like WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth. Or we can also categorize the technology platform as platform of platforms. Or for example, Apple iOS, Google Android, and Amazon Web Service, and so on and so forth. And please take a look at for a moment at the transaction model, communication, and network effects. We will discuss network effects next Monday, but I think this is important for you to understand the power of network effects or network externalities as underlying factor for the emergence of digital platform. Those two main factors that are contributing to the emergence of digital platform, as I said earlier in this presentation, is one, digital disruptive innovation, and two, network externalities. Okay, so please remember this thing very, very carefully. Two main factors that are contributing to the emergence of digital platform is A, disruptive innovation, and B, network externalities. Let's talk about that one by one. Disruptive innovation, I'm sure you are familiar with this word, with this phrase. So disruptive innovation comes as a result of the technological improvement that are going faster than customers' requirements. So it means that disruptive innovation enabled low-end technologies to eventually meet the needs of the mass market. So previously, if you want to develop something, you have to make sure that the product is functioning very well. You have to make sure that this is 100% ready. But with disruptive innovation, sometimes you don't have to do that. Sometimes you can launch the product with 50% or 40% ready. You don't have to launch the product fully baked, but with half baked only, you can launch that product and you can attract customers in that particular market. So, for example, let's compare these two. On the left-hand side is the picture of computers back in 1980s. On the right-hand side is the computers that we are familiar at this moment. And the question is, how much of you are using the computer up to its potential? Probably none of you. None of us are using the computer up to its potential because the computing power at this moment is very, very high. It's capable of doing so many things at the same time. But back in 1980s, if you want to write a report, or if you want to write an email, maybe it can take 15 minutes, it can take half an hour, or even more than an hour just to write a simple document, just to write a simple email. But in 2020s, we can do so many things with our computers. And disruptive innovation can be seen very eminent in the mobile phone market. From 1980s to 2001, Microsoft was the dominant player in operating systems. So they are focusing on developing new technology, voice recognition, RFID, and things like that. But operating systems for smartphone and tablets were relatively ignored. So in 2011, Apple came up with iOS, and Google come up with Android, and they were controlling about 60% of the market, compared to Microsoft that only control the market of about 11%. So why does this happen? Because Microsoft at that time was focusing on developing something on the high-end technology over here. So they tend to develop something like voice recognition, identification technologies, security, and things like that. They forgot that that technology is already moving very fast. So with simpler technology, with low-end technology, is actually already capable to fulfill the customer's requirement at the mass market. And this is what have been done by Google with Android and Apple with iOS. So it makes sense, right? Nowadays, probably not many of us who are having personal computers or who are having laptops, because we can do so many things with our mobile phone. If we just want to write emails or make conference call, or maybe create a simple presentation slides, or just to schedule your agenda, or just to share files, we can use everything with our mobile phone. We no longer need a personal computer, we no longer need a laptop, because most of those basic tasks can be done very quickly, very effectively with our mobile phone. And this is the nature of digital disruptive innovation, because the technology is moving very fast. With simple technology, is actually capable of fulfilling a customer demands. Now, any question on this disruptive innovation? No? Let's move on to the second factor, which is called network externality. We will talk about this in the next session, next Monday, but let me briefly explain this to you. Network externalities are basically the effects of products or service that has on a user while others are using the same or compatible products or services. So the more people using telephone, then the value of the telephone itself is also increasing. If the number of users who are using telephone is only 2, then the connection they are made between them is just 1. But if there are 5 people who are using the telephone, then the connection can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. If the number of user is increasing, like WhatsApp, like Facebook, like Instagram, Google, and things like that, then the value of the platform is also increasing. So that's what we call by positive network externality or positive network effect. Essentially, as the number is increasing, the value of that product or the value of the service is also increasing. On the other hand, network effect or network externalities can be negative, especially when more users are using that product, then the value of that product or that service is becoming less useful. For example, if you are driving your car in a road, for example, the more people using that road, the more probability of having congestion or having traffic jam is increasing. So the value of that kind of thing is decreasing. That's what we call by negative network externalities. But with platform like Facebook, like Google, like WhatsApp, what we are commonly experiencing is what we call by positive network externalities. So the more users are using this product, the more value of Facebook having. So that's why the market capitalization of Facebook, the market capitalization of Google and things like that is increasing very quickly. So theoretically speaking, technology adoption will lead to network externalities. So by adopting Facebook, by adopting Google, or by adopting WhatsApp, it will eventually lead to network externalities. And platforms, digital platforms like those kind of things, leverage the power of network, leverage the network effect or network externalities. We can find it in telecommunication networks like mobile phone, mobile payment, mobile internet, and things like that. But it also very common in digital platform. So the more is the merrier. The more users who are having or using that products, the higher the value that it gives to the user. And those kind of thing is creating a kind of economies of scale advantage to bigger or larger platforms, and they become better in developing something and giving something to the customers, and it will lead to natural monopoly. So remember the chicken and egg problem that I gave you earlier. Because of the data that they have, they can create better service or better technology for you, and they can charge higher prices. They can attract more investors. They can have much more money to develop more services, and they can use more services to attract more customers, and so on and so forth. And these cycles will lead to natural monopoly in the sector. That's why we only know Google as the leader of a search engine. We can always refer to Facebook for social network and things like that. Now, okay, so there is a question. It seems that the 4 companies accused of monopoly are natural. I don't understand how it's rational to accuse them of doing their jobs well. I'm not saying that this is bad or this is a wrong thing to do, but what I'm saying here is that this is the nature of the technology. So the nature of technology, the nature of adoption, new innovation will create network effect. It will create network externalities. And the rate of this adoption will only increase because of the disruptive innovation, because technology is moving very fast. The cost to adopt new technology is getting cheaper. So that's why it became a kind of natural monopoly. I'm not saying that this is right or this is wrong, this is bad or this is good. I'm just describing the phenomena. So I will let you judge whether this is good thing to do or this is bad thing to do. Okay. I hope I make myself clear. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask or write something on the chat box. So one more thing that I have to show you is the challenges that are facing a digital platform. So according to the paper written by Andrew Heggie, 2014, there are at least four challenges being faced by digital platform. So if you want to develop a digital platform business, then these are four things that you have to consider. The first one is how many sites that you are going to bring on board. So whether you are going to be one-sided platform, two-sided platform, three-sided platform, because the more site that you are going to take on board, the larger possibility of having network effects. But then because you are involving different kind of sites, then those kind of sites will probably having different kind of interests, and it can create complexity and conflicts of interest. So you have to be very careful in developing your platform, whether it's going to be two-sided, three-sided, four-sided, or whatever sided. And then secondly, we have to think about the platform design. So what kind of features, what kind of technology, what kind of functionality that you are going to offer? Are you going to offer like reduce product development costs, or reduce transaction costs, or reduce search costs, or whatever? You have to be very careful what is the main design, what is the main feature that you are going to offer to your user. And then thirdly is about pricing structure. Okay, because you are dealing with different sites, so you are having possibilities of having different revenue streams and profit source. So you have to think about this very carefully, whether you are going to make money from this site or giving things free for this site or things like that. Okay, for example, think about LinkedIn. LinkedIn at least involve three different sides: user who are looking for jobs, recruiter who are offering something or giving a kind of job advertisement, and then advertiser. So three different things. But LinkedIn can make money from user if user want to have a kind of premium services and things like that. LinkedIn can also make money from advertisers, because if advertiser want to put their advertisement, then obviously they have to pay for LinkedIn. So you have to be very careful in choosing which one that that will be your revenue sources or your profit sources. Sometimes you have to make a compensation. Sometimes you have to make it free. Sometimes you have to give a kind of subsidy and things like that to make all of your sites happy. And then the fourth thing that we have to consider is the governance rules. So you have to think about this: who is allowed to join, and what kind of things that they are allowed to do. So you're not gonna open up your platform for everyone, right? You have to be very careful in choosing who is allowed to join and what are the things that can be done by them. Okay, so those kind of things, those four things are the main challenges that have to be considered if we are going to develop our digital platform. Now, any questions on digital platform? We are running out of time, but if you have any questions. Okay, let's say there is a question. Let's say it's an individual starting out and doesn't have the fund to pay for many people to test. what would you recommend to do? Publish it and fix along the way, or wait a bit to make it the best they can, or maybe there are some other ways. Um, um, this is the interesting thing about digital innovation. Okay, if you develop something, you don't have to wait until it's 100% ready. You can just release to the market, or give it for free for anyone who are interested in that kind of products. Okay, and then after that you can gather a kind of feedback. You can gather a kind of comments or suggestion or criticism from your users, and based on that thing you can refine your products along the way. So you don't have to wait 100% ready, because it will not be ready. You just send it to the market, publish it to the market, let users try for free. And then if you think that users are interested in those kind of products, you can slowly increase the price. You can slowly charge them, for example, $5 per user, or $5 per month, and things like that. And I know another question is, I know that every organization needs a digital platform strategy, but should small organization, SMEs, invest into digital platform strategies? Because doing so requires a lot of resources, which is difficult for small or new companies. Yes, you are right. Probably this is not going to be relevant for everyone, for every sector, for every industries. No. But this is the trend that we are observing. We can find digital platform everywhere, and it is not only in one country or one sectors or one industries. We can find it everywhere. But it doesn't mean that every company has to be platform, okay? Because we still need someone who develop the product. We still need someone who develop the services and things like that. It's 8:08. Let me continue for 5 minutes, and then after that we can conclude and end this session. But let me very briefly talk about this. Is there any kind of technology where network externalities do not exist? As far as I know, no. Technologies tend to be network externalities tend to be embedded with digital technology. But we will talk about this next Monday. We will talk about network externalities. We will talk about standards next Monday. Okay. Let me very briefly give you a kind of overview. So in banking and in financial services, bank looks like this. It's huge, it's solid, it's safe, but at the same time, it's also quite different for them to move or to adopt or to change. And essentially, innovation is not the strong suit of banking, even though they spend lots of money on IT. And the interesting thing is that many incumbent banks, many fintech companies are coming into the sector. And there is a big shift there, because the greatest asset is no longer money. Money is still the great asset, but banks usually don't really pay attention to data. Okay, but there is a policy called open banking. It was originally in Europe, part of European legislature called Payment Service Directive, PSD2, which was come in 2018. But it then being adopted in many different countries, including in Asia, like for example in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Philippines, in Indonesia, and in Vietnam. So the trend is emerging, that we can find it everywhere in every country. So essentially, open banking is moved from closed banking like this. So previously you are dealing with your bank, but now we have to open up the data, the services with third-party providers. Okay, and it has lots of consequences. Why? Because it changed the way we manage our money. So previously we can have two different banks or three different banks, one for payments, one for mortgage, one for investment and things like that. But with open banking, we will have a consolidated account. It also changed the way we lend money. So previously we have to provide lots of information, especially if you are SMEs. But now with shared data, with shared information, you won't need those kind of complexities anymore. And thirdly, it will make payments moving swiftly. Because previously, if you buy something from Amazon, for example, you will go to acquire like WorldPay or Global Payment, and then you will be forwarded to Visa or MasterCard, and then the Visa or MasterCard will take the money from your bank account. But now with open banking, we can do this shortly without involving too many organizations. And the implication is that everything is now being consolidated in a single third-party provider. And the thing is that new innovation like that is coming very fast. So those kind of fintech companies are offering many different services on the periphery. Initially, they are offering something on the periphery, but then they are slowly moving inside towards giving something which previously becoming the core business of bank and financial services. So I think this is a kind of interesting strategy, especially if you are interested in developing new AI for credit scoring, or if you are interested in developing AI for financial services like this. What I want to say is that the opportunity is there. So if you want to develop something, you can begin by offering something on the periphery, but along the way, because of the externalities, because of the disruptive innovation, along the way, you can slowly moving inside the core services of banking. This is an example from banking and financial services, but I'm sure you can do similar thing in other businesses, in other sectors, in other industries. So think about it. Think about developing something, developing AI, developing machine learning on the periphery, but then because of network externalities, because of disruptive innovation, use that power to slowly enter, slowly moving inside to the core services of that industries. Okay. Now, let me skip this. Now, key takeaways. So what can we learn from this? We find a strong evidence of movements from close vertically integrated business conglomerates that were previously being dominated by rich families to the emergence of multi-sided platform and business ecosystem in Asia. And we need to appreciate the power of disruptive innovation and network externalities, because by having those two power, you can develop something. You can begin offering something on the periphery, but along the way, you can slowly moving inside and take over the core services in that particular industries or in that particular sectors. And then we should always be aware of digital platform challenges for different challenges. And lastly, we have to be very careful of chicken and egg problems, especially if you are entering the market that are highly regulated like banking. Okay. Any questions, comments? Final question, final comments? No? We run out of time, 15 minutes. last thing to do. So I give you a kind of reflective questions for your homework. This is an individual homework. Please pick an example of one digital platform that you are currently use. Think about that platform, how many sites that they have. Maybe they have 2 sites, maybe they have 3 sites. What are they? Are they users? Are they advertisers? Are they other companies or consultants or things like that? Secondly, think about how they make money. Think about their revenue model. Think about their pricing strategies. Also, think about their design. Think about the way they regulate the platform. Who is allowed to enter the platform? Who is not allowed to enter the platform? What kind of things that are allowed to do inside the platform? And then from your perspective as a user, what do you like or what you don't like about the platform and why? And finally, what would you like to change if you are from the perspective of the company, from the perspective of the platform developer or platform owner? What are the things that you want to change? Okay, very short answer, very short questions, less than 300 words. I don't want to put much pressures on you, and don't forget to submit it via LMS before our next session, 2nd of November. So go to our LMS and there is a menu for short reflective questions. Okay, any questions, comments? No? Very clear, so far so good. Okay, if no other questions, then thank you very much. We can think about this. Do you think that we should develop a digital platform in order to survive in the digital economy? We will come back to these questions next Monday. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for joining. I apologize. We are 15 minutes, 17 minutes past of our schedules. I'm sorry about that. Next time I will be more on time with our schedule. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and we will see you next Monday. Okay, have a good night. Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Professor.